This is what $400,000 gets you in San Jose, California. First, I got to tell you, if you're not from this area, you might look at this house and be like, 400,000. This house looks like it's 400,000. It's not. This home in particular is probably $3.5–4 million because we live in California and it's one of the nicest places in the area. So keep in mind before all of you people start hating. But if you want to hate, that's okay. You can drop that in the comments as well. I'll give you the backstory of how I closed this customer, how I met the customer. Originally, the homeowner hired someone back in 2021 to rebuild their pool and to do a whole new design, and they did. The pool contractor built the pool. He did a good job. And also the pool contractor decided to take on the landscaping portion of the build as well. And they did it with no design, and the homeowner got sick and tired because every time they wanted to make a suggestion to the landscapers, they were turning the homeowner down. They said, no, we can't do that. This is impossible. It's going to cost too much money. We don't have enough time. And they were kind of being a nuisance to the homeowner where, you know, someone hires you to spend a few $100,000. You better provide a great service so they are very well taken care of. And in this case, they weren't. After a year battle, they said, you know what? Screw this. We're out. They fired them, and then they hired a designer named Matt Daly. Matt Daly did this whole project. He designed this. It was from his company's called Water and Earth. Here's a little Instagram of his. He did this blueprint. He finished it, and then he introduced the customer to me. I bid on it, and within 4 or 5 days, they accepted it, and they knew exactly what they wanted, and any suggestions on the fly, it was very easy to work with them. This is what's happening at this job site. If you've never attempted to do forms like this, don't do it. Have someone else do it because this shit's hard. I know how to do this, but I'm not going to because I don't want to embarrass anyone. I don't want to show off. A lot of you guys always say, T, you show off too much. So today I'm not going to show off. Get professionals besides me. Thank you very much.
That was probably the worst segment I've ever heard in my life.
So now that we know that, the contractor originally, I actually know the guy. He got booted and then we came in. It was a tag team. So obviously you see there's a lot of porcelain on the bottom left of the screen. And I personally would never install porcelain on sand. I always install porcelain on a concrete base. But for some reason, they did it on sand around the pool. And already some of the tiles are shifting. So maybe in a few years when everything starts going haywire, we can come back and fix it for the homeowner. But right now, as you see, we are installing a sunken pit, which is really cool because it goes down 2 feet and there's going to be a floating bench. So this is all going to be retaining walls. The footing is one of the most important things. And right now, that big square in the middle, that is called a drain pit. So any surface water inside the pit goes in there. All the water around it gets routed to the front yard. Nothing from drains or roof goes in there. So everyone was like, oh, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. This is the third time we've done this and it's worked fantastic. All the water fills in there, and then it just dissipates into the soil. It has a pretty big 5x5x6 hole in the ground for the water to go in. A lot of dirt work. Very thankful for the excavator. Very thankful for the little ditch witch. And after all this was dug out, then the concrete boys come in and they're going to do their deal. Gas line has to go in. Drainage has to go in. Electrical, footing. That's one of the most important things. And all the planning that you have to do for the future. If you've never done something like this, I would recommend not doing it. But once you do understand how to do this, it's actually quite easy. Of course, you have to have a great team. I don't really know how to do any of this myself. I've never done it. I know the theory, but before I tell you more, we've been interrupted by a special sponsor. We have a special message for you. Friday, December 13th, I'm giving away trailers, tools, teaching you about landscaping, going on job walks, showing you spreadsheets, taking you to my office. I'm gonna show you everything from the ins and outs of landscaping of Applewood so you can see firsthand how to do it. Goat Gang members get in for free. All you have to do, hit the link below, show up. Friday, December 13th. Back to the broadcast. A lot of you right now are looking at this. Either you're hating on me, that's the first audience, or you're a big fan, that's the second audience. Most of the haters are fans. They're just in hiding. They're in the closet. It's okay. Just come out. It's not a big deal. Just say you love me and we can get on to the next level. But most of you that are looking at this, and you're like, I want to do jobs like this. Hold on, Sally. Take a step back. Just remember, I am going on year 10. I know there's a lot of people watching this. They're like, oh, this is not that impressive, blah, 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 blah. But in order to put together a $400,000 job and actually complete it and the customer be satisfied, that is very, very difficult to do. It's really easy to go sell a $400,000 job. I know a lot of people that have done it and they failed. They have bad reviews, they have a bad reputation, and they are getting sued by many, many people. I've only got sued one time, but I'm telling you, it wasn't my fault. It was the customer's fault, of course, right? Never my fault. In this case, The hardest part is to finish. Finishing is the hardest part because landscaping is not like excavation work. Imagine if I had a basement excavation company, I come in and dig a 50-foot hole by 60 feet by 10 feet down. It doesn't really matter if I left a couple rocks here and there. It doesn't matter if there's a little clump of dirt or maybe I didn't shave 1 inch off. Nothing has to be 100% perfect. But when it comes to finish work like landscaping, carpentry, any kind of tile work, everything has to be perfect. The room for error is very, very tiny. And this is exactly what you have to pay attention to when you're doing jobs like this, especially when you have a business and you're running a company. Finish work is one of the most important. Obviously, poured in place concrete walls are not an easy feat. This is very difficult to do, and you have to have the right people for the right job. Luckily for me, I have been gifted the opportunity to go out and find really good people, and that's why Applewood is a fantastic company today. Now that you're thinking, T, you're always tooting your own horn. Well, bro, why have a horn if you're not going to toot it? The horn is to be used. Most of you aren't proud of the work you do. That's why you underplay yourself, and that's why you leave mean comments on my videos saying, you're always bragging, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I'm not bragging about doing dog shit work. We're actually doing really good work. If it's really good, you should brag about it. You should tell the whole world. You should say, look at all the product we've done. Floating stairs are not easy. These pavers are not easy. Sunken in patio is not easy. This little sunken in patio, I charged 50 grand. 50 grand for this. Why? Because it's not easy. Retaining walls, pavers, planning, floating steps, lights. This is one of the key features of the entire project right here. This is the key feature. And the designer, he was on point about suggesting this to the customer, but more importantly, what an awesome customer to be able to tell the designer, yeah, let's do it. This is badass. I want this in my yard. And I know a lot of you are going to say this, oh, T, it's not me that's the problem. It's not that. It's the fact that I don't have enough leads. I need leads, bro. The leads aren't coming in. That's why I don't have these customers. Here's the honest truth about that. The fact is, you do get the right customers, but how many times have you showed up to a job where it's a big job? You're like, oh, this is a big job. And then you get blown out of the water. The customers even take you serious. Maybe you showed up and you were like dirty. Maybe you showed up and you didn't speak correctly. Maybe you showed up and the customer asked you a question, because that's what they do. Like, these people aren't stupid. Someone's dropping $500,000 in their landscaping. They're not stupid. They're very, very smart. It takes a really, really intelligent person to accumulate $500,000, pay taxes, and then after that, dump it on their landscaping. So they're asking you questions. And if you're a Dumbo, and if you make some suggestions that don't make sense, you're going to get blown out. And that's the problem. You guys are trying to do bigger jobs. You're trying to do more leads. You're trying to get better leads, but you yourself aren't getting better. That's the secret. You need to improve in order for everything else around will improve. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Look at this crane. This was actually the first time we've ever craned a rock, and it was actually a pretty cool experience. It wasn't bad. The rock itself was $3,000, maybe $3,500, and then the crane was $1,500 to rent, and he came in within 30-40 minutes, plugged it in, boom, 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 done, done, done. So now you're watching the finishing touches of the job, all this. Boys, if you're watching this and you're like, man, dude, I want to learn how to do this stuff. I want to learn how to get an edge on everyone else around me, because not a lot of people are doing jobs like that. And by the way, if you live in any town in America, and if you're like, well, this wouldn't work in my town, look around. Are there people in your town doing big landscaping jobs? Is there a market for this? If there is not a market, then you need to move. But if there is a market, message me, DM me, get in Goat Gang. I'll show you the way. I have so many videos on this. Make a commitment. Man, these are some mighty fine bushes, and these need to be trimmed a little bit. Wait a second. Would you look at this? This looks like a fine landscaping job done by no other than Applewood. Can you believe this? I'm going to take you around. I'm going to show you what a $400,000 job site for me looks like, but what a $700,000 job site looks like for the homeowner. That's how much he spent for this entire project. He spent $400 grand with me. He spent $300 grand with the other contractor that he ended up firing, and he said, I don't want to work with you anymore, pal. Beat it. So they did. And then I stepped up and we finished. Second time is charm. First, walking in, first thing you see is this beautiful driveway. This was actually a very fun hexagonal pattern with a 3-paver inlay to separate it into like 6 rectangles, which looks cool. It's very different. We sealed it. All the marks that you see right now with enough elbow grease, they will come off. It was really bad today. Tires are dirty, boys. You got to understand that. And this is the other thing with white pavers. Yes, they look good now. They look great. But eventually over time, there's going to be a lot of streaks. So you make sure that you have to seal this. And we actually sealed it with 2 coats, 2 layers. Concrete pavers here, steppers. We got a little retaining wall over there. Boom, boom over here. We have a address wall. That was the entire purpose of this address wall. And then inside this address wall, we have a nice little bench with LED lights underneath it. It's floating. It's a floating bench, which is fantastic. And a little fire pit that's propane. We have a good grass area, which all the neighbors' dogs are coming over here and taking a piss on. And they are killing the grass in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8, 10 spots. And the reason we put real grass is because the homeowner doesn't have any space anywhere on the property for real grass, and they actually don't like turf, which I understand them. But because of this high traffic of all the dogs we have here, this is the outcome. Not a huge deal, not a deal breaker. It is what it is. After the grass establishes, it'll not die as fast, but it's okay. Going here, steppers. We have some very fancy purple La Paz, which is good. We have FX lights. Pay attention to all the FX lights. These lights right here, the most expensive, best quality lights FX has to offer. All of the uplights on the entire property, there's about 30 of them. They are all ZDC, meaning zoning dimming color, which is crazy. Insane. DG little pathway here, nice gate, and then steppers going into the backyard. I convinced the homeowner to do a black fence, which they loved tremendously. And then we have these big, beautiful lollipop laurels, giving some good privacy, giving a good shade, and go stand over there, taking the view. This is the first thing you see when you come in. This is the view. Beautiful pool. Beautiful overhead structure, fantastic sunken in fire pit hangout area. We have floating steps going in, a floating bench that is continuous on the entire area. You can hang out here all you want. Very nice. And one of the advantages are when it's really windy and the fire's on, if this was ground level, the fire would be blowing everywhere and it'd be cold. But because we're sunken in, it's a whole nother level. It doesn't really get windy here, which is really cool. Didn't think about that, but it makes sense. It's like a bunker. Privacy trees here, and then a $20,000 Corten steel planter. This was not an easy thing to do. The place that I bought it from charged me $12,000 to buy the steel, fabricate it, weld it, and come and install it. We had to do the installation, but they came and did some spot welds and did all this stuff. All in all, it turned out really, really nice. I actually enjoy the look of it. It makes it complete because this area is elevated, this area is pool level, and then you have some nice trees. This is a 48-inch pygmy palm. It looks small for some reason, but the guy said that this tree is going to grow fast as soon as it takes root, and I believe him. These bougainvilleas eventually are going to go inside this little wire trellis, and they're going to take form. Don't fall in, don't fall in, don't fall in. And then this area, homeowner wanted something more chill so she can plant her veggies. We got lettuce, parsley, cilantro. All the pool equipment is here. And then this is just the utility area. This, they wanted a nice area here for them to come and maybe sit and watch the kids swim. I think it's fantastic. One thing that I want to point out is the pool. The homeowner hired a pool contractor to do the pool. He did a good job on the actual pool itself. But when the pool contractor was like, oh, I'll do the landscaping too, it's a whole nother ballpark. You got to understand. The pool guy that does pools all the time is really good at doing pools. That's his bread and butter. The landscape guy that does landscaping all the time and then he wants to do pools, it's not going to be good as the pool guy doing pools only. So that's why he left, did a good job on the pool, and then we came in to rock and roll. This came out really, really nice. I had the painter come in and he sanded down all this wood and made this all one pretty much. Using nice latex paint. That's good. What is this? Huh. I don't know. Maybe for like towels, but man, that smells good. That's cedar. The designer for this entire project was a dude named Matt Daly. So if you have seen a lot of my very fancy jobs of this one, which is $500,000 job, or this one, they're all designed by him. He is very good at what he does. There are a lot of elements that he mixed around and we played with, and it's really cool to have him, but also to have someone as ambitious as the homeowner to say, this design is awesome, let's do it. We don't care about the cost, this looks sick, which makes sense. Do you think we added $1 million of property value to this home?
Yeah.
Me too. And here is what we like to call a 6,000 pound rock, 2-ton boulder. Big boy. Had to get this craned over here. The stone yard loaded up the trailer and they brought it here, and then from the trailer it went boom, boom. Here's a video of that. Now, I know some of you will say this is absurd. Why would you spend 700 grand on a landscaping, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. You don't have to make sense about why someone else will spend money on it. I bought this for 150 grand. I know most of you would be like, that's just crazy. You could buy a F350 limited diesel, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, but the limited diesel doesn't drive itself. Limited diesel is cool. I've already had one, but this thing is cooler. Most of you won't buy a Lambo. Most of you won't buy a house. Most of you couldn't even afford to do this, landscaping. So just because you can't afford it doesn't mean you have to talk down on it. Just say, man, I hope one day I'll get to that level. I'm gonna work hard, and that's how you should do it. Don't be a hater.